Give me 1 second here. Alicia Angiolini.
Yes.
Angeline. Her lawyers, I understand, were sending threatening letters and actually went ahead and filed criminal charges against Robert.
Right.
And I'm going to quote from,
sorry, go on.
I'm going to quote from these, and obviously we want your information or input. Okay. The first letter that's up there on the site is the written content includes the Lord Advocate effectively buried a case to prevent a sheriff or judge who was associated with being investigated, that she reacted to public calls for a police investigation by pressuring against publication, that our client made a concerted and continuous effort to conceal the facts from the people of Scotland, and she has repeatedly failed to tell the whole truth about her connections with the Hollie abuse case. In the video, which I understand, they actually were successful in censoring and making sure that it's no longer available. It is claimed that the case against those accused of child abuse was effectively blocked by our client, that our client lied about her involvement in the case, and that our client repeatedly perverted the course of justice. Any comments on that at all, Mary?
Well, I think, we can prove that she did indeed pervert the course of justice, because on multiple times Mrs. Angiolini has lied in relation to this case.
So she is she's the highest law enforcement officer in the land, right?
Yeah, I think that's the right way of putting it, yeah. She's like the Scottish Chief Public Prosecutor.
Okay,
she's
so...
perhaps, Kenny McCaskill, the Americans might be familiar with the Lockerbie Al-Magrahi thing. He appoints her, so in a way he might be more senior, but yeah, she is one of the absolute top people in this country.
Okay, so this is the first shot they fired across the bow. As they go ahead and they send this first letter where they're threatening legal action, and they're basically basing it on what they call slander, which, by the way, just so our listeners understand, you cannot slander a public official in any free country. Once you run for office, once you're appointed or elected, you're fair game. You can refute the accusations, which, by the way, it doesn't look like she has done that in any of this. But bottom line is, instead of actually challenging these things, she's done everything she could to suppress them. And the second letter we've got here is a threatening phone call from the lawyers. My colleague Michael was distressed and upset to receive a rude and aggressive telephone call from Mr. Callum Anderson, and demanding to speak to the editor. Michael felt intimidated by the nature of the call, which I understand was from your office. So these lawyers, the next thing they do is they're calling and harassing literally at Robert's office. Is that correct, Mary?
I think that Mrs. Angiolini, she has a private firm of lawyers in Edinburgh called Levy and McRae, and these Levy and McRae people have been running around Scotland and other places like the UK call them, just basically threatening everybody just to shut up about the Hollie Greig case,
Yep. So these lawyers are basically her pit bulls, and they've been sent out to
exactly.
cover this whole thing up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're private law firm. Now, here's the third letter. And it says they actually went ahead and they filed for police action. We note the terms of your email below. Can we urge you to take immediate legal advice? On doing so, you will be advised that the onus is on the publisher to prove the truth of what is published. Well, you know what? Total BS, my friends. Not only is the content defamatory, we believe the publication is a breach of criminal law. I'll tell you what's defamatory is what they've done to this little girl. And the fact that there's brave journalists out there that are reporting this. This is truth. You cannot harass somebody with the truth. So, any comments on that at all, Mary?
Well, whether legally or not, it does seem that the case now in Scotland that if any of us were to name the names here, okay, I would think they're probably arrested. I was at a protest yesterday outside the Crown Office in Edinburgh, which is Mrs. Angiolini's headquarters.
So it was a protest outside of the government building where she works from, right?
Yes, that's correct. And it was a protest by Scotland Against Crooked Lawyers, the gentleman you had on I think, Tuesday, Stuart Usher, his group.
Yes.
And they were one of, Stuart and SACL were one of the first groups to come on board with the Hollie case and help Anne out in 2006. Now, yesterday, 2 police cars, there was 18 people demonstrating, quite a small demonstration, but that's not a problem because we think that, if the demonstration might be too big, that might put us in danger. They could, they could say you're blocking the pavements, or
No, they can also incite a riot with you guys too. So there's a lot of things they can do.
Yeah.
So you're right. 18 is a pretty good size
yeah,
crowd,
for a weekday, And
what did the police do? What did the police do? Did they just stand there and
that
watch?
was interesting. Yeah. They were called because the Crown Office security staff were supposedly getting complaints from Crown Office staff that we were filming them, etc., while we were giving out the leaflets to them. So they called...
So you're just handing out leaflets, right, talking to people as they passed, and they said that someone called and complained about you handing out leaflets, correct?
Well, yeah, the Crown Office staff complained to the security, and the security phoned the police. And the police attended the scene, and two police cars, well, first two young officers, very junior police, I think, arrived, and they were very nice, you see. They said it's a peaceful protest, you're not blocking the entrance, blah, blah. But then another car arrived with more senior police officers, and they wanted to really look at the leaflet, and one of them stood and studied it for about 10 minutes. And I believe if there had been anything in that they could have got us on, they would have at the very least arrested Mr. Stuart Usher. Yes?
So they were literally looking. Did these two other?
Yeah, he's scanning every word of the leaflet. Mrs. Angelini's name was mentioned, but if any of the people that Hollie has accused, if we had named the names, basically.
So if you named names, they were going to arrest you?
This is just what I believe. I can't say for sure, but I think yes. At least Stuart Usher would have been arrested as the leader of the protest.
Well, you got proof that's already taken place with Robert, correct?
Yes. Because
and that's what I want to get to next. Okay, so let's just talk about Robert for a second here. So how did Robert end up... okay, so we got these letters, everything happened, right? So did they bring charges against him then immediately after they sent out this email? Mary, do you know?
Okay, now, I haven't prepared for this, but I'll do my best to get the story right here. I think Robert came on board with Hollie's case. He was approached by Stuart Usher and Scotland Against Crooked Lawyers, and he got on board and he really investigated the lots of Freedom of Information Act requests and other things, just to push things forward, especially on the sort of child abuse angle, because there's a whole other angle to Anne's case, that of financial fraud by her not even ex-husband, estranged husband. She filed for divorce in 2003, but it hasn't even been finalised.
We're talking about financial fraud as well from
yes, her ex-husband committed, but this would take up a 5-hour program on your radio show.
Okay. All right, well, let me bring you back on this one, okay? We'll talk again. What I want to do right now is just kind of clarify what happened with Robert as far as him, becoming incarcerated and why they did it and what they did.
Right. Okay. Well, first, he got involved about a year ago. At some point, I think it was summer 2009, as part of his campaigning and things, and also because this is in the public interest. Children are still being abused in Aberdeen by these same people. I believe firmly that is what is happening.